Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glen Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glen Sutherland. This week, my guest is David Morgan. David, you want to start off by giving everybody a bit of an introduction to yourself?
Sure. I think the long introduction's at my website, themorganreport.com. And if you hit the About tab, you can read all about it. Not that that's just me, but I just have been interested in money for a long time. And I've spent over 4 decades talking about the greatest risk to your wealth and your freedom is a failing financial system. I've written 3 books. One's called The Silver Manifesto. I also published a financial newsletter called The Morgan Report. And I just finished a documentary, or I funded almost all of it, called Silver Sunrise. That's available at silversunrise.tv. And it's free, and you can comment on it. And it basically looks more at the spiritual side of money, Glenn, which means what the control fear that the money powers have over the population and how we can break it.
That is interesting. I'm going to go check that out myself. Is it long? How long is it? Is it like a...
It's about an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes? Yeah, I got an hour and 20 minutes.
Week, it's a nice weekend, kind of a thing. I mean, I was thinking about doing a premier deal, but all this stuff costs money, and it's fine. I mean, I was happy to fund it, and I did get donations from a few mining companies and a couple of bullion dealers, and some individuals that were willing to help me. But it's just hard once you get it out there to market it, because it's a subset of a subset. And even though my producer, I'll call him producer, wants to get on Amazon, that's a real tricky gate to get through. And then as far as advertising on Google, it's very interesting because it's not meeting their community standards, because certain words are used. I mean, and they're taking them completely out of context, saying, this is, which is really sad, because, free speech is free speech. And, if you're offended halfway through the movie, turn the damn thing off. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we can't act like adults anymore. I've luckily been taught and trained to be very open-minded. Not that I don't have my defects, but I've looked at the left as much as I've looked at the right, and I'm sort of in the middle. I'm a constitutional libertarian type mindset. The government that governs least governs best. We're endowed by our creator with certain inalienable rights. I mean, what a concept. But anyway, I digress.
No, I agree with you. I think it's whenever, even if it's something that isn't something that I like, and I'm not saying that's what this is at all, but I like to hear the other side, right? And it helps me open my own mind up and hear the other perspective, and you can use it for your business, for everything, and you start to get into that mindset where you're always like thinking about what they're thinking about instead of what you're trying to push your agenda, or trying to push my real estate or my business or something on. I'm always like, what do they need? What's the other side of this? And it actually makes, I think, a better communication and a better, I think my mind just opened to a lot more different things by trying stuff anyway.
I'll add one more comment when you move on. My mother, my stepmother, my second mom, my first biological mother passed away when I was pretty young. And my dad remarried, and the second wife lived till 91. And so she just passed away a couple of years ago. But anyway, the point I'm making is she was as liberal as they get. But one of the biggest hearts and full of love of any person I've ever met on the planet. And so that was a very good mitigating force in my life, because it was personal and family. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of put me into the perspective of how much she cared, but she knew nothing about economics. She just did not know that, basically we, the working class, have to work to eat. And that, the government really doesn't provide it. They take it from somebody else and redistribute it. Her idea was that the government was all knowing, all seeing, all being, had everything that we ever needed, and they should just distribute it fairly. And, but it helped to soften my heart somewhat, I would say, because certainly there are people that need it, and for profit only in me is an unnatural motivation. And that's unfortunately kind of the Western capitalistic system has become what I like to call conscious capitalism, is make a fair profit, pay your employees a fair wage, and do right by everybody. If you're scraping for every extra penny, I think you're offset. So anyway, I said a lot, but we have got a real mess on our hands, as you well know, and wherever you want to go from here, let's open up the can of worms and keep going.
Well, we were going to talk about the market, so maybe like this might transition in okay. So yeah, let's just get your perspective on the market, where we are now. What's the opportunity? What should people be doing? Where are we at?
Well, looking at the biggest market of all, what I call the keys of the kingdom, are the debt markets or credit markets. One side of the same coin, debt or credit, either a lender or a borrower. And that system is failing as we speak and has been for some time, but it accelerates at the end because the curve for paying interest on the debt goes exponential at some point, which means at some point you may be in a position where the Federal Reserve banking system is required to buy all the debt because no one else wants to buy it. Now, that's an extreme case, but that's the direction that we're moving, which means at that point you get into potentially a Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, where you run the printing presses so quickly and depreciate the currency so rapidly that no one really wants to pick it up. It loses all of its value. Now, I really believe that will not occur to the United States dollar. But nonetheless, I have to be honest and say that is the trend we're moving toward. And the mathematics doesn't change just because you are the great empire on the planet right now. In other words, everyone is susceptible to financial reality, no matter how good the politician or how much force you have behind it, or what the rhetoric is, or what the mandates are from the banking establishment. Doesn't matter. There is a point where trust is lost by enough of the people where that currency is not trusted anymore. And once that's broken, then you have a system that you can't control any longer. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. But again, that is the trend. So go a step further. What can you do? What can you control? Yeah. And to the best of my ability, it's do the best that you can, mitigate your debt, get out of debt as much as you possibly can, buy stuff you need, put off those wants for another year or two or three instead of, I want the new car, but I got to put it on credit. Don't be my recommendation or suggestion. Yeah. And once you are living within your means, then you are much less vulnerable to a banking crisis or losing your job or what have you. Now, I understand being, as I just said, fairly big-hearted and compassionate and empathetic. I understand that there's a lot of Canadians and Americans that have been doing everything by the book. Some are working two jobs and still can't put it together. And I get that. So I'm not trying to berate anyone out there working their fannies off trying to make things work. And it's not. And it's not your fault in a lot of cases. It's the system is broken. But nonetheless, you still, whatever you can control, get a handle on it. And if you got to downsize, I've also suggested, I like your feedback, Glenn, one of the simplest things you could do, especially after the illness struck in the 2020, is go to one car instead of two if one of you works at home. Like, for example, my son-in-law and my daughter, they both get to work from home most of the time. Well, they have two cars, like a lot of Americans. Yeah. But they could work on one pretty darn easy because, they're not having to drive to work every day. And man, that absolves a lot of cost to buy the car, insure the car, maintain the car, fuel the car. Oh, it's not as convenient. Yeah, I get that. But man, if you look at the book entry and see how that helps your cash flow and your bottom line, it helps a great deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Even myself, like we had one car for a couple of years, but we both work at home. Like we're both in the same house. It honestly I didn't buy the truck until I had both kids in hockey, and I was like, we could go two different directions. We're like, I don't know how you work this out otherwise. But anyway, yeah, so we went down that. So one thing you said was you're talking about mitigating debt and bringing, just so that you can, not be collecting more debt every month. And where my mind was going, because you said something about like banking fails. I just want to clarify this up. Is it like if you've collected a lot of debt, if you're behind a lot, is it that whenever the banking, if should the banking system fail, that they're just going to call all these notes, or what happens in that case? Or is that, maybe I missed the point on that? Is that why you want to mitigate the debt?
Are you looking to invest in the US? Are you looking for a coaching program that will actually save you money and help you avoid mistakes? My students get discounts on lawyers, attorneys. If you're looking to get an E2 visa, if you're looking for certain software, if you're looking to even speak with CPAs, I have discounts for all these things. If you want to just get on a quick phone call and we can discuss if it's a fit for you, 10-minute phone call, go to glensutherland.com or at canadianinvestingintheusa.com and book a call.
Yeah, it varies. But a lot of loans are callable and people don't know it. What callable means is you have a second mortgage on your house and it's $30,000 Canadian or US, doesn't matter. That's not the point. And there is the banks are starting to fail. So part of the bail-in process could be, hey, Glenn, it's 30,000. Did you read paragraph 1, I, subparagraph B that says this loan's callable? No, I don't remember. Well, you signed it. We're calling the loan. You have 10 days to send us a certified check for $29,892.12. If you don't, we will be taking pole position on your mortgage and we'll be foreclosing on your house within 3 months. I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody. You just asked a question. I'm answering it. And that's what happened in the Depression. And more to go one more step into the Great Depression, which really irks me, was there were, I don't know what the percentage is, so I don't want to make it like, it was very widespread. Probably wasn't. But there were farmers that had enough in their local bank to pay off their farm. But when the bank failed, their money went to money heaven. So in other words, it went to zero and their farms got foreclosed on. So how would you feel that you had the money in the bank to make that callable loan, but you couldn't access that because the bank was failed, and now you have no way to buy your farm, even though at one time, a week before you did? I mean, that would really be upsetting, and there was more than one case like that. So and the last thing I guess I'll mention is the only video that really went viral for me was done with Daniela Cambone when she was working with Stansberry Research. And the whole interview was done from my car, first one or probably the only one I've ever done from my car, on bank bail-ins. And I explained that the money that's on deposit in your bank is the bank's money, not yours. So just what I said about the farmers. So if the brown stuff hits the rotating situation, you could be in a situation where even though you had that quote unquote money, all of a sudden you realize that the bank owns it, you don't. You're a beneficiary. They don't see you as a beneficiary because they need it more than you do. And away you go. So that's another thing. To mitigate the amount of money you have in a bank is not a bad idea. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to play fear porn. I'm just giving you the facts. And you can make up your own darn mind whether you want to take action on that or not. The problem is, I'd rather be too early than too late, because if it were to occur, then you've got a situation where you can't, turn back the clock and say, I want my money out if the bank closes.
Yeah. But like if you had money in the bank, I'm starting to think the answer to my own question as I'm saying it, but would FDIC insurance not be able to like save you there, or do they even have that enough cash to even bail out all this?
Well, they don't have enough cash, and almost anybody knows that. However, that really doesn't bother me too much. I mean, that's a fact, and I don't argue facts.
Yeah.
However, if you look into, what's happened, there would probably be an emergency meeting with Congress and they would just basically print it. So I think you're okay as long, if there even is a bank bail-in, that you would probably be solvent up to 250,000, which is the limit in the United States. So if you're under that, you probably don't have to worry about it. Not that you shouldn't still take some measures to mitigate that, because it's possible that they said, oh, we only have this much in the FDIC. Sorry, you're getting 10 cents on the dollar, not full, even though you had under 250, because we just don't have the money to pay. I mean, that could happen. Again, my belief is it wouldn't. But nonetheless, I mean, we're in dire straits. And the idea that relying on somebody else's word, especially through the banking establishment, is something you might reconsider.
But when we're talking about all this, I'm always putting everything you said into like a personal perspective. Does the same thing apply if it's more of a business perspective? Like, so say you were a real estate investor, you had investment properties, you'll have mortgages, you'll have all those things. Does the same principle apply in that situation?
It could. It depends on the contract. I mean, a allodial title is almost impossible to get. Although, if you're in the elite class, there was an instance in Los Angeles years ago where the Japanese bought a big hunk of prime real estate in LA and got a allodial title, which means they truly own it. You don't have to pay any property taxes on it. So it's free and clear forever. That's very rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just making that point to make the further point that you could be in some instances where you're absolved from a mitigating circumstance where the property could be taken from you as collateral. For an example, you could have a clause in there that in the unlikely event of interest rates beyond 10%, my mortgage gets put on hold for 6 months. I mean, that could be in the contract. Not that there's anything to have that. There could be. My point is, you got to kind of look at it on a case-by-case basis. But on the general public, where we're basically slaves to the banking system for the most part, the standard mortgage out there is already pre-written, and all those terms and conditions are in the bank's favor, the mortgage company's favor.
Of course. Yeah. And like when we're talking about like, paying off stuff and, getting out of as much of a leverage position, is like, what should be, if people have money, say if they have some cash, like, would you recommend them putting it into like a hard asset like real estate, or putting it into metals, or something like some sort of hard asset like that, physical, something you could actually own, or am I going down the right path here?
Oh, absolutely. That was a great question. So I'll just use my own family. I mean, when my daughter got married, it's been years ago now, and I have a lovely granddaughter, but she asked me, well, Dad, what do we do? Do I save for a house, or do I pay off the school debt of my husband? Us, them. So I asked what the interest rate was, et cetera, and it was smarter use of the money to pay off the school loan before they started saving for a house. And that's what they did. So that's the question you didn't quite ask me. But once you get extra funds, then what do? I have taught from the beginning pretty much to save in real money, silver and or gold, on a monthly basis outside the banking system. And that's your savings account. Because if you look at the depreciation of the currency and you find by saving in metal, when I bought this, that's $100 in dimes, $100. Why does it cost $6,200 in fiat for 100? That's 62 times face value. One dime US silver, 90% silver, is good for a gallon of gas or a gallon of diesel down here. Our diesel prices are pushing over toward $5 these days. But my point is, that is, if you saved in that, you're still able to, fill up your gas tank however many times. And people don't understand that until many people do, but not enough. Yeah. So some people that just save on a monthly basis in silver, as an example, or silver and gold, move into a position where that purchasing power is going to remain strong over long periods of time. Does the price go up and down? Of course it does. But in the long term, it continues to maintain or improve your standard of living. So that's what I think is the best. But you don't have to jump in all at once. Just start a plan and stick to it. Dollar cost average, buy $100 every month or whatever. It adds up over time, and you'll be very glad you have it as things start to move more rapidly toward what Rafi Farber calls the end game, where the currency may be, and I say may be, refuted by the markets. Again, I doubt that's going to happen. I think we'll have a new system or there'll be lots of changes
Yeah.
in the what we've been talking about in the contract. I mean, you could say, okay, all 30-year bonds have now moved to 50-year bonds because we say so by edict. The U.S. government says our treasury bonds are now been repriced based on a $50 time frame rather than 30. I mean, not saying that's going down. I'm just throwing out ideas
Yeah.
that these banks are there for them. They're not there for us. And they basically run the system. System's run by the money powers. And because of that fact, you've got to think like they do. And to think correctly like they do, you have to think like a criminal. What would a criminal do? If you get into that mindset and apply it to the banking industry at the top, I'm not talking about your local friendly banker that most of them don't really have a clue of how it works. You get a mortgage, I'm helping you out. You want a car loan, your credit's good, let me loan you. Get the new car, John. Get the new car, Glenn. I'm happy for you. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the structural mechanisms within the system run by the very few at the top that know how corrupt it is and prey on our misunderstanding of how the money system.
So this just popped in my head, just seeing you hold up a bag of, I believe that was silver.
Yeah.
I'm guessing most people don't want to store this on their desk. You have to get a safe. You put this in a safety deposit box. Where are you putting this money?
Yeah, there's
coins?
a couple of things you can. I think you should have some on hand, but you don't want to. $6,000 sitting on your desk. Probably. But yeah, a home safe is a good idea. Burying it in your backyard sounds corny, but people have been doing it for time immemorial.
Yeah.
There's a thing called Dirty Man Safe that a very entrepreneurial type has. You can look it up. Use the code Morgan, MRGN, you get 10 or 15% off. And a safe deposit box, I would very much do due diligence, meaning in the U.S., it's a state by state situation where in a bank closure, some states can open up your safe deposit box and do as they want. Other states, it's sealed, they can't touch it. In Canada, it's probably the same province by province, but I'm guessing. But you want to make darn sure.
Make sure. I have no idea.
You've got a safe deposit box at your, BMO or TD or whatever.
Yeah.
I would call your banker and say, hey, in the event of a banking closure, do I get access to my safe deposit box? Or in that unlikely event, do you guys get access to it? Oh, no, Glenn, it sure is fine. Show it to me in writing.
Yeah.
I don't want it just told to me.
Right.
So you could or could not, depending.
No, it's a good tip. It's a good tip is to do a little bit of due diligence on it, or just get to see it in writing. Love it. David, people interested in this, I'm honestly interested in the documentary. You want to give the link for that again and a link to your report or where they can get a hold of you. They want to get some more information.
Sure. The documentary's at silversunrise.tv. Free. Comment section's open. Let me know what you think of it. If you watch it, Glenn, and you're intrigued by it, get back to me and we could do, a conversation or a reverse interview. I just would be asking you, 1, did you like it? 2, how would you improve it? And 3, and most importantly, if I was interviewing you, like one of the people in the film, what would you say is the most important 1 or 2 or 3 things to turn the situation around? Would it be clean food, clean air, free healthcare? What would it be? Because I like the input. Because whether or not I do a sequel or not, I at least want this film to generate thinking. Not that you got to agree with me, not that everything in it's correct. I mean, there's conflict within the movie. I mean, Ellen Brown, who wrote Web of Death and Web of Debt, and many other books and a lot of missives about the banking system, she's more of a statist than I am. She's really okay with the states running the banking system. And I don't really disagree with her because of what her idea is that it's a public utility. The bankers don't run it, the townspeople run it. And I like that idea. So there's a lot of stuff in the movie like that. As far
Sounds
as
good. It has both perspectives then too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, the main website's themortgagereport.com. It's a 3-step process. Step 1 is hit the button on the far left, get on the free report. It costs free, costs nothing. Step 2 is to see 2 documentaries, the one I keep talking about, Silver Sunrise, and the other one's one that was done over a decade ago called The Four Horsemen. It discusses the end of the Age of Empire, which is really important to watch that film now and watch it the second time if you watched it a long time ago, and understand now with this Iran war situation, that movie is probably more important to understand than ever. And then lastly, step 3 is if you want to get involved at the through the paywall. If you want to buy the report, it does cost, consultations cost, that type of thing. So step 3 is up to you. Obviously, I give out a free weekly update on what I do. I give out the documentary I paid for, most of it I said, and they're both free. And if you are a member, what I will mention is that the consultations are half price. So, bear that in.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Got some interesting perspectives that I'm going to do some more research on and open my mind up. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Glenn.
That was a nice video. Bye.